You will make it through. The fitra is awake in you. With Quran and Sunnah by your side, here's a place where it will thrive. You will make it through. You will make it through. The fitra is awake in you. With Quran and Sunnah on his side, here's a place where it will thrive. You will make it through. With Quran and Sunnah on his side, here's a place where it will thrive. You will make it through.
Class, and this is the class wherein we are discussing what it means when we speak about how the concept of Wala Wal Bara has become diluted since the time of our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, diluted in so many different ways. And as Allah tells us in the Quran, whenever the concept of allegiance and disassociation becomes diluted, and by the way, that's the whole principle of Islam. That's the whole principle of La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. When that concept becomes diluted, that's when we can expect war and all of that to happen to us as an ummah, as a nation, because we've deviated away from the concepts of La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. We're living in the days of fitan, the days of trials and tribulations. So what can we do? Well, we have to turn back, as our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, when we live in the days of fitan, when we live to see the days of trial and the days of tribulations, then we need to turn back to our aqidah, fall back upon our belief system. Make sure that our belief system is the way that it's supposed to be. You know, look at the lordship of Allah. Are we practicing our religion the way we should? Do we truly believe in Allah? Well, that's what this class is all about. And the last time we met, we spoke about different violations, different ways in which we're violating or disrespecting the lordship of Allah. Also, how we're disrespecting the prophethood of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And for those of you who are watching me on the program I'm using now called Bigo, make sure that you open up a tab on your cell phone or your computer or your tablet to YouTube. Go to my YouTube channel, which is channel SunnahFollowers, the name at the top here, or you can type my name, Laila Nasheeba. My live will pop up, and when it pops up, click on the live. That way you can see the PowerPoint that I'm using. Let me put the PowerPoint up on the screen because I'm going to give you a brief quiz, only 2 questions from the last class we had here, just to see if you guys understand how the concept of allegiance has become violated, how we as a nation, as an ummah, and how we individually are violating our allegiance to Allah today. So let's take a look at the first question I prepared for you today. And I'm just going to give you several examples. And I want you guys to tell me which of these examples that I put on the screen, just tell me if the example is an example of disrespect towards Allah. People in the Zoom room, I want you to wake up and I want you to get your microphones ready and I want you to use the mic. People on YouTube, you can type your answer. People on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Rumble, Kick, Twitch, I can see your answers. Type them on the screen. People on Bigo, you can type your answer, or one of you can take the box and use the mic. Which of the following is an example of how we show disrespect towards Allah? What about this one? To make fun of Allah's names. If a person makes fun of Allah's names, is this an example of showing disrespect towards Allah? Yes or no? Is this an example of showing disrespect towards Allah, to make fun of his names? What do you think?
Yes, it is.
Go ahead, say it again.
Yes, it is very disrespectful to make fun of Allah's names.
Okay, does anyone disagree? MashaAllah, good job. Yes, this is a good example of how you would show disrespect towards Allah. And believe it or not, there are Muslims, people who call themselves Muslims out there, who do show disrespect towards Allah by making fun of his names. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You'll see it on social media. Someone will make fun of Allah's name. They'll say, how does Allah know everything? He doesn't know. If he knew everything, then why is he allowing the war to happen? How, if he know what's going on, why is he doing this? Or how can Allah say that he's the he's the one that gives life and death and all of this? Oh yeah. People make fun of Allah's names all the time. That's disrespect. What about this? To belittle Allah's commands. Is this an example of disrespect towards him? To belittle Allah's commands. Is that an example of showing disrespect towards him?
Yeah.
Whoever that was that whispered, can you use the mic? Don't whisper. Speak with confidence. Because I couldn't understand what you said, whoever that was. Is belittling Allah's commands an example of showing disrespect?
Yes.
Thank you, because I couldn't understand that person at all. Yes, it is. This is an example of disrespect. How do, and who can give me an example? One of the sisters here, one of my new Shahadas, Sister Sarah's asking, what does it mean to belittle his commands? Can anybody give me an example to answer her question? She said, what does it mean to belittle his commands? To belittle means to look down on or make fun of his commands. Give me an example of that. Give her an example of that. Oh, we can give you some examples, especially in regards to women. Somebody give her an example of a belittling his commands.
Like saying you don't have to wear, cover yourself in a hijab.
Oh yeah, making fun of how we dress. Seeing that a woman wears a tent. How many of you have heard Muslim men? I've heard Muslim men refer to the way we dress as we wear tents. I remember when I was growing up, whenever a girl would convert to Islam, I grew up in the 60s. Some of the young boys were silly enough. They were so silly. They would tell the new Shahadas, oh, welcome to Islam. Now you can go find a tent to put on. A tent? I used to say, why do you silly boys say that? You know, we don't wear tents. We wear abayas, and we are beautiful in our abayas. You don't look down and belittle someone. That's a real simple example. Or to make fun of the fact that we don't have boyfriends. Oh yeah, that's another good example, Amatullah. You're going to belittle the fact that we don't fornicate. We don't date. We don't have boyfriends. We don't have girlfriends. Well, how do you get to know a person before you marry them? That's the good thing, because you're never going to know a person until you live with them anyway. You're never going to know a person until after you marry them anyway. So you want to belittle the fact that as Muslims, we don't date. A person can pretend to be whatever, and then once you marry them, that's when you see the real person anyway. Okay, so to belittle, to look down on Allah's laws, to look down on his commands. You understand now, Sister Sarah? Yeah, she said she got it. She said, thank you. Good job, guys. What about this one? Is this an example of disrespect? To deny Allah's existence. Is that an example of showing disrespect towards Allah?
Yes.
Good job. Yes, it is. Believe it or not, we have Muslims who deny Allah's existence. Oh, yeah. You claim that you believe in Allah, but you deny his existence? You're no different than the Christians. The Christians, why is it that the Christians are unbelievers? They claim to believe in Allah, but they deny his existence. They claim to believe in Allah, but they deny a lot of things about him. So we disrespect Allah a lot in a lot of ways, and we wonder why Allah has sent so many calamities towards us. And also, the last time we met, we spoke about how we neglect so many fundamental principles of Islam. So which of the following things are examples of neglect of a fundamental principle of Islam? What about this? Is not wearing a hijab or not dressing correctly. For you brothers who refuse to cover yourselves from your navel to the knee. A lot of you brothers are wearing shorts, but you're not covering yourselves from the navel to the knee. Is this an example of neglecting a fundamental principle of Islam? Is that an example?
Yes.
Good job. Yes, it is. That's an example. What about this? Not praying the 5 daily prayers every day. Is that an example of neglecting a fundamental principle of Islam?
Yes.
Good job. Yes, it is. What about this? Not fasting the month of Ramadan. There's a lot of Muslims that make up excuses that are not valid, and they refuse to fast the month of Ramadan. Is that an example of neglecting a fundamental principle of Islam?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. What about this? Not fasting the day of Arafat. Just refusing to fast, deciding that you're not going to fast the day of Arafat. Is that an example of neglecting a fundamental principle of Islam?
No, it's not, because it's a voluntary.
Good job, Mina. Good job. And this was a question that somebody asked today. Exactly. When we talk about fundamental principles, the fundamental principles are the obligations that we must do. These are the actions, the fundaments. Fundaments means the things you are obligated to do. You're not obligated to fast the day of Arafat. You're not obligated to fast tomorrow. If you want to fast tomorrow, you can. The white days of the Eid. You're not obligated to fast the white days of the Eid. Okay. But you are obligated to fast Ramadan. The only fast we're obligated to do is the month of Ramadan. So don't get it twisted, guys. The fundamental principles are the obligations that we're required to do, not the voluntary deeds. A lot of us do the voluntary deeds, but we fail to fulfill the obligations. That's one of the ways that Shaitan dupes us. He makes us put emphasis on voluntary deeds because he knows that your voluntary deeds are not accepted. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said Allah does not accept any of your voluntary deeds. unless your obligations have been fulfilled. You can fast Arafat, you can fast the white days, you can do all the fasts in the world, but unless you fulfill Ramadan, you're just starving yourself. You can pray tahajjud, you can pray all night long, you can pray to your heart's content, but if you have not made Fajr, ain't none of those voluntary prayers accepted. A lot of people stay up all night long doing voluntary prayers, but they don't make Fajr. So they just wasted their time. That's why the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, anytime we deliberately, intentionally disobey Allah, none of your good deeds are accepted. You're deliberately, intentionally not fulfilling your obligations. That's why I tell you, sisters, I don't care what these Sufi brothers tell you guys. If you sisters are not wearing a hijab, you know that a hijab is an obligation. That's a fundament. That's a fundamental principle of Islam. You sisters are deliberately, intentionally not dressing properly. You're not wearing hijab. You're not covering your body correctly the way Allah commanded. Ain't none of your prayers accepted because you are deliberately, intentionally disobeying Allah. Allah does not accept any of your good deeds if you are deliberately, intentionally disobeying him. That's why the Prophet said, don't be the bankrupt person. On the day of judgment, a man will stand before Allah bankrupt. All his good deeds not accepted. None of his prayers, none of his fasts, or anything else. Because he deliberately, intentionally disobeyed Allah. We have to be careful of that, guys. We have to fulfill the obligations, and we cannot intentionally be indulging in sin. That's why he says even your Hajj will not be accepted if you are deliberately, intentionally indulging in sin. Y'all got those hadiths? Very important. So let's get to tonight's lecture. And again, for those of you on Bigo, make sure that you open up a tab on YouTube. Go to my YouTube channel, click on SunnahFollowers, that's my channel. Click on the live so you can see these PowerPoints that I'm putting up. These are the copies of the hadiths I'm quoting. The sources are all Bukhari and Muslim. I don't deal with anything that's not authentic. And also you see the verses of the Quran. Okay? All right. The neglect of el-baraz, which means distancing yourself. As Muslims, we're supposed to distance ourselves from those things that contradict our belief. The neglect of this within the Muslim community has become very apparent. And because of that, it stands in the way of our unity. It stands in the way of our love for each other, our love for Allah. And all of that, guys. And we have to understand the root causes behind these violations. And by understanding the root causes behind these violations, this is what will allow us to embark upon a transformative journey of self-reflection and growth. So tonight, what I'm going to do is explore some of the factors that will contribute to these violations. And we'll try to discover some ways to reinforce our commitment to the principles of el-bara. Okay? And again, the number one factor that plays a part in this is weakness of faith, because we neglect to learn our religion properly. Our priority in life should be seeking the correct knowledge and the correct understanding of Islam. I mean, there's nothing wrong with going to school to get a degree in engineering so you can provide and maintain your family. We do need more Muslim doctors. We need more Muslim lawyers and all of that too. We need Muslim social workers. Nothing's wrong with that. But never, ever, ever stop learning about Islam. Okay? Weak faith and lack of knowledge. This is the number one cause of disregarding Wala Wal Bara. We can cultivate love and allegiance that can transcend personal interests by strengthening our understanding of our religious teachings and by embracing a deeper connection with our faith, guys. I have 2 college degrees, 3 college degrees, but I never stopped learning my religion. I never stopped learning my deen. My religion was always number one. And I've taught this religion for over 50 years. I went to college, got degrees that would help me to teach my religion. Okay? Also, another cause is secular influences. We can live in the West, but we should never allow the happenings in the West to influence us and change our Muslim identity. We are Muslims. We should never try to blend in and become like the non-Muslims. As the Prophet Muhammad said, we're supposed to be distinct. We're supposed to stand out over the non-Muslims. We're supposed to be better than them, not blend in and be like them. When you walk into a room of 100 non-Muslims, you should be that one person that stands out over them. And you should never allow their ideologies, their lifestyle to jeopardize yours or conflict with yours. Never, ever, ever jeopardize or lose your Muslim identity. But unfortunately, we've done that. We've succumbed to the West. How many of you Muslims walk around calling yourself Democrats? Astaghfirullah. Democracy. Democracy. Democracy opposes Islam. How many of you call yourselves Republicans? Republicans. A republic opposes Islam. We believe in an Islamic state. Subhanallah. We're not Democrats. We're not Republicans. We're Muslims. And our lifestyle is the total opposite of all of that. But you guys have allowed the West to change your ideology, change your mindset, change your way of thinking. You're voting. We even have Muslim women calling themselves congresswomen. Astaghfirullah. Muslim men calling themselves congressmen. This lifestyle is not ours. External ideologies and cultures that contradict Islamic teachings can erode our commitment to al-Bara. Striving for a balance between society's values and Islamic principles ensures that we remain rooted in our faith and that we preserve the unity of the Muslim community. We failed at that here in America. We have failed at that. It hurts me as a Muslim daya who was born in America to see so many famous American personalities who call themselves scholars when they're really not scholars, how they've succumbed to America and they were advocating for Muslims to go out and vote, which is haram, and even to see Muslims protesting, which is haram too. As Muslims, we don't protest the qadr of Allah. You guys are protesting the qadr of Allah. Astaghfirullah. It hurts. Then when I see Muslims protesting with LGBTQ people, astaghfirullah, Allah destroyed a whole nation because of that. It's a sad reality how you've allowed secular influences to change you. You've become one of them. You're not of us anymore. So this has destroyed us. And we wonder why Allah has brought this war and why Allah is not taking this war away. Also, another cause is the failure. Again, the failure to follow the example of our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There is nothing that's happening on earth today that we are experiencing worldwide today that he and his companions have not already experienced. He's taught us how to handle ourselves in war, in peace, and everything else. He taught us how to handle LGBTQ. He taught us how to handle ourselves in all situations, but we neglect his example. We neglect his companions' example. We refuse to implement El Bara's principles. And because of that, we have weakened as an ummah. We have weakened as a nation. We fail to study his example, his companions' example. Instead of emulating their character, we have adopted life coaches of men and women today. And we wonder why we have failed as a nation today. Astaghfirullah. Also, disunity and lack of cooperation is another reason why what's happened to us has happened. Disunity within the Muslim community undermines El Bara's principles. By embracing unity, only then can cooperation begin. And only with cooperation can we reject divisions. And without division, only then can we uphold the principles that protect our faith and strengthen our bond as brothers and sisters. Remember, before the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam died, he said the greatest weapon that we have against shaitan is each other. We don't have each other. We're all not that one brick building anymore. We're disunited. We're back to tribalism. We're back to racism. We're back to flags, carrying different flags. As one brother came in here and said the other day, he said, my country, Africa, we've been going through it since the Bush regime. There's been no flags for Africa, but there's flags for Gaza all over the place, you know? But my country's been suffering since the early 2000s. No one's cried for Africa. You know, this is what happens when you pick up flags. That's why the Prophet told the companions, when Allah sent down the command for the Muslims to fight the Battle of Badr, the first thing the Arabs all said, they all had different tribes. Every tribe had a flag. The Prophet said, no, we're not doing that. He said the standard, our standard will be the banner of La ilaha illallah. That's our standard. When you Muslims started protesting, which was haram in and of itself, the Prophet didn't protest. Protesting was something that was invented by the Romans and the Greeks. The Prophet never participated in Roman and Greek protests. Because we don't protest the qadr of Allah. We don't do that. It's haram. And there's no scholar on this earth who will tell you that protesting is lawful. We don't protest the qadr of Allah. There is no power, no might without other than Allah's. When you Muslims started protesting, you committed a sin with that, number one. Then when you pulled out flags of tribalism, you blew it. You divided this nation. You divided this nation. That's disparate treatment. Like the Prophet told the Arabs, that's disparate. We ain't going to fight under no banner of different tribes. We're going to fight under the banner of Allah. La ilaha illallah. So we're divided even more. You all have divided us even more. with your ignorance, with your racism, with your tribalism, wrapped up in a flag, protesting Allah's decree. Shame on you, Muslims. We're disunited because of your ignorance. If you Muslims were educated, you would know this ain't a war against Gaza. This is the war against Islam. And it did start during the Bush regime. And it just spread it to Gaza. And it's past Gaza now. It's going to continue until the entire earth is at war. It's the war that our prophet told us of. What's happened to Gaza happened to Bosnia. It happened to Kuwait. It happened to Afghanistan. It's just spreading. Subhanallah. It's been happening to the Sudan. It's been happening to the Congo. It's been happening all over Africa. You people are crazy. Disunity and ignorance of the deen. Subhanallah. Also, extreme influences due to this politics. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he told the companions, as Islam began to spread throughout the world, he told the companions before he died, don't get involved in the politics of the people. Stick to the teachings of Islam. Keep your dua active. When he sent Mu'adh to Yemen, he said, don't get involved in their politics. When Abu Bakr became the caliph over the Muslims, when they began to fight against the Persians, when they fought against the Romans, he said, don't get involved in their politics. Uphold your dua, our supplication. When Umar radiallahu anhu became the caliph over the Muslims, he said, don't get involved in their politics. Maintain our dua, our supplication. We Muslims are too involved in the politics of the world. When you get involved in the politics of the kafir, because see, as the Prophet said, nothing happens in this world without Allah's knowledge. Allah is in control of the world. That's why the Prophet said, don't get involved in the politics. He said, I made dua for you. Before he died, he told the Muslims, I made dua. If anyone is appointed a leader over my nation and they are unjust to you, I made dua against them. We got Muslims that curse the king of Saudi Arabia. We got Muslims cursing the Emirates about Gaza. We got Muslims cursing all the Muslim lands. You brothers of Rome, you cursing other Muslims. We don't do that. The Prophet Muhammad made dua for us. He made dua that if anyone is unjust and is a ruler over any Muslim nation, Allah will deal with them. The Prophet took care of that. You're not supposed to go around cursing other Muslim countries and stuff. Okay? He took care of that. He said, stay out of the politics of the world. Allah is in control. There is no power. There is no might but him. He controls the earth. He controls the universe. Nothing in this world is happening without his will. Stay out of the politics. Work on yourself. Allah will never change the condition of a people till we change ourselves. You brothers are cursing us, cursing each other, dividing us. You're extreme. You're emotional. Your extreme ideologies distort the understanding of El Bara and its manifestations. That's not Islam. How can we safeguard our faith from manipulation and preserve the true essence of El Bara when you all involved in the politics of the world? Our Prophet Muhammad took care of everything. The rulers and everything else. He made dua against bad rulers. He said, follow them as long as they pray. He said, don't rebel against them as long as they pray. He took care of them with his dua. What are you doing? You're an extreme emotional fanatic. You need to fall back on La ilaha illallah and check yourself, brothers. Get out of the politics of the world. And also our ignorance, our lack of knowledge. We have to embrace self-confidence. We have to embrace education of this deen. We have to embrace having a deep understanding of the true Islamic teachings. That's the only way that we'll become empowered and be able to stand firm in our commitment to Allah and champion, what we were created to champion, which is to worship Allah correctly. We have to make Islam our priority in life, pleasing Allah our priority in life. We have to understand that there is no power or might other than He. He's in control. Do what He commanded you to do. Fall back, as the Prophet told the companions in times of war. Fall back upon Tawheed. Our strength is in our righteous actions towards Allah. Make sure you're doing what Allah commanded you to do. And you will be under His protection. And Allah will send the angels to help us in battle. But if you have deviated away from what Allah commanded, then you're worse than the Kafirs, because you know better.